everyone, my name is Shauna, in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing the Anti-TBR Book Tag. The creator of this tag will be linked down in the description below if I can find their YouTube channel or their blog. So these are just basically a bunch of series of questions about books that I do not plan on reading. So I'll be spilling some tea, stirring up some controversies with this video. So to start off with, number 1 is a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. For me, I'm going with All the Bright Places. The reason I have no desire in reading All the Bright Places is because I know that there is suicide involved in the book, and because I lost people I know to suicide, I find reading books about suicide now to be way too triggering, and I just don't think that emotionally and mentally I could handle that book, so I don't want to read that one. Also, I've been really conscious recently about the fact that a lot of young adult books, it feels like, try and bring in mental health topics but don't deal with them in a very good way, and by very good way I mean do it in a way that doesn't glorify the illness. So I know that I'm probably judging the book too soon, but I'm worried that the book would glorify or romanticize suicide and mental illness, which some popular young adult books have done. I'm not sure about All the Right Places, but in the back of my mind I'm a little worried about that. Number 2 is a classic book or author you don't have any interest in reading. Most classic books I have no interest in reading, so I'm just going to choose Moby Dick for this one, which I think is sometimes called The Whale or something. Why does it have 2 names? It's confusing. I generally am not really that interested in classic books. Oh, another one that I'm not interested in is the Iliad. I read the Odyssey. Ugh, that was a month or 2 of my life that I can never get back. But yeah, classic books are just not my jam, and yeah, Iliad and Moby Dick, I never want to read those. Number 3 is an author whose books you have no interest in reading. For this I'm going to go with E.L. James, who wrote 50 Shades of Grey and The Mister. I'm just really not into eroticas, and I think those ones would just be straight up basically written porn, so I really have no interest in reading any of E.L. James's books. Question 3.2 is a problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading. When I think of problematic authors, there are 3 that come to mind really strongly for me. One, I've agreed never to say her name on my channel, so I will not be saying the author's name, but there are 2 other ones that I'm not interested in reading any of their future books because of how problematic they are. To start with, James Dashner. James Dashner has sexually harassed a woman, and I have no interest in supporting any of his future works. I do have the most recent Maze Runner book, The Crank Palace or whatever. I will be reading that one, but if he doesn't publish any more Maze Runner books, which I honestly hope he doesn't publish any more Maze Runner books, I am never going to be reading another one of his books. I just cannot support an author who sexually harasses women. The other author is Lauren Miracle. She wrote the Internet Girl series, and I have no interest in reading any more of her books. I really enjoyed her books when I was younger, but Lauren Miracle is a really problematic author. There was basically this virtual book convention that happened during quarantine, and she was talking with a bunch of authors who have diverse reads, and they are groups, they're minority groups, and Lauren Miracle, being a white cis woman, spoke up over the people that she was in the panel with, and she basically said white boys don't get enough representation. And I know that I'm butchering that or whatever, she did say it a little differently, but the thing is, the point is the same. You can't just talk over minority groups because you think a white straight cis male needs representation. Trust me when I say that white cis heterosexual males have tons of representation in media, and what she did was completely not okay. Number 4 is an author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. So this author, I will be reading more of his books just because I own all of his books, but that for me is John Green. His writing style is just really not for me. I find his writing style to just be very bland, and his characters are very bland as well. It's just not for me. I want more creativity, and I want a different writing style than what John Green writes. Although I will be reading the rest of his books in the future just because I own all of them and I like him as a person, but he is just not for me. Number 5 is a genre you have no interest in or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't. I'm gonna go with horror. I unfortunately cannot get into horror. There's only been one horror book that I read and I enjoyed, but all the other horror books that I've tried to read, they're just way too scary for me, and I'm a chicken and I can't handle them at all. So horror is not for me. Probably are some horror books on my TBR because if I really like an author, then I'll add all of their books to my TBR because I'm weird like that. But will I get around to them? Probably not. I'm not into horror at all. Number 6 is a book you have bought but will never read. This can be a book you have unhauled / returned to the library unread. I don't think I really have any for this. For as long as I can remember, I've been buying books with a plan of reading every single book that I own, and I refuse to get rid of a book even if I haven't read the book. So I have like a ton of books from when I was in elementary school that I still haven't read yet, but like I keep on my shelves. So yeah, I don't really have an answer for this. I mean, let me just pull out a couple that I've had from elementary school maybe and show you those, because I don't really like have an interest in reading them. But like I still own them and I might read them eventually because that's like one of my goals in life, but like I'm not gonna go out of my way to read them. So here's a couple books that I've had since elementary school that I'm not gonna go out of my way to read, that I have owned for a while, although I do like hope to read them in the future because I'm weird. Megan's Island by Willow Davis Roberts. As you can see, it's a short chapter book. And The Melting of Maggie Bean by Trisha Rayburn, another kids book that I got in elementary school. So these are not on my high TBR, but I don't like to get rid of books unless I read them, so sort of what I'm choosing for this answer, sort of not choosing anything. I don't know. I might be a little confusing right now. Question number 7 is a series you have no interest in reading or a series you started and have DNF'd. For this I'm choosing the A Darker Shade of Magic series, which I think might be called Shades of... is it called Shades of London? Whatever. The first book is Darker Shade of Magic. That's all I know. It's by V.E. Schwab. I read the first book. I absolutely hated it. Lila Bard was one of the most annoying characters that I've read in all time. Just everything she did pissed me off to no end. I can't exactly like pinpoint what about her annoyed me, but she just did. And I cannot stand reading another book with her. The first book was also so insanely boring that it was really hard to get through. And I read it through a readathon. So I read like 6 hours or however long it took me to read the book. And I did it in a short period of time. But I was like, this is so boring. So yeah, I DNF'd that series. I know that's popular, but like I can't get into it. It's just not interesting to me. Number 8 is a new release you have no interest in reading. For this I'm going to go with Troubled Blood by Robert Galbraith. I did not say her name, I said her pen name. Troubled Blood, the reason why I have no interest in reading it is, first of all, it's by a very problematic author. It's the author that I will not say her name on my channel. The author is extremely transphobic. And before you come at me like, oh my gosh, she's not transphobic, like listen to what trans people have to say, because you as a cis person get no say in whether something is transphobic or not. What the trans people say will dictate whether it's transphobic or not. So I'm listening to my trans friends when I make decisions about this author. Also taking into account the author's transphobic tweets. You can also see that there is some transphobia in the book Troubled Blood. I have no interest in reading that book. It came out like a few months ago, I think. Maybe like half a year ago, I don't know. But I have no interest in reading that book. So yeah. So that was all for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. If you have some unpopular bookish opinions about books that you never want to read, then feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and I'd love to have a conversation with you. All of my social media, including my Goodreads and Bookstagram, will be linked down in the description below. I hope all of you are having a great reading month so far, and I will see all of you in my next video. Goodbye!